Hey guys, good morning. I'm live from Kissimmee, Florida at the MECUM Auctions event. I'm not going to have a regular upload today because I'm going live. I'm out of town. Didn't really have a chance to do a regular video, but I want to walk you around to see all the cool cars that what I consider cool here at MECUM Kissimmee. So I'm going to let some people get on here. We're going to walk and talk and take a look at some of these old race cars, some of the historic hot rods, some of the historic customs, muscle cars, sports cars. There's a pretty big variety here, and I'm just walking around early before the auction actually gets started. So just hang with me here. We're going to walk for a little while, try to stay live for maybe 30 minutes or so we can take a good walk, check out some cool stuff. Got a Ferrari here. There's actually very few Ferraris. This year seems to be more of the year of the Corvette. There are tons of Corvettes here. All right, we got some people watching. Some very important people are watching. Hopefully more people will join here in a little bit. So we're going to start right here, this 66 GTO. And believe it or not, we can look at the reflection in this car. There's me. This is original paint from 1966. So this is black lacquer paint, hand-painted pinstripes. Everything about this car is original, low mileage. Doesn't have the biggest, baddest engine of all time, but it is original. And to Sleeper Dude, I haven't seen very many Thunderbirds, especially the mid-60s variety. MECUM is definitely an awesome auction. You know, Barrett-Jackson gets a lot of the attention because they have big TV coverage. Of course, MECUM has TV coverage too, but there's a lot of cars here. This, from what I heard, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 cars. So we're not going to see them all. I'm just going to show you some of the cool stuff, including this. This is the king of custom cars, the car that set the standard for customized Mercuries. This is the Hirohata Mercury, built by Barris Customs. And this car has so many custom details that were really revolutionary for the time. The chop top, removing the pillar and building these stainless steel window frames, that was a pretty big deal back in the day. Did a lot of work on the quarter panels. Even this, originally this door is supposed to have a little kick down in the body line, and they smoothed that out, rounded all the corners, like on the hood. These corners are supposed to be just squared off and rounded. So many little details that there's a lot of metal fabrication. It's got a Cadillac V8 in it with 3 two-barrel carburetors. This car, it's always hard to tell on these cars how much money they'll bring. It's you know, it's an iconic car. It's one of a kind. There's never been another one like it. Still got the Barris custom emblems on it. That's cool. But cars like this, you know, that carries a lot of prestige to add to your collection. But there's kind of a small group of people who feel like this is valuable compared to like a Ferrari or a early Corvette. So moving on, we got another king, this time a king of the drag strip. This is a Shelby Cobra Dragonsnake. It was built for the sports car class. You can see it's got skinnies on the front and some pie crust slicks on the back. That's speaking my language right there. They're dry rotted a little bit, but just right. It's got a roll bar in there. Beautiful paintwork. They're doing a little bit of last minute detailing on it. Again, we're pretty early here at MECUM. They don't actually start the auction until a little bit later, but I wanted to get on here early so that we don't have a tremendous amount of noise in the background. We've got this video playing, but when the auction actually gets started, all you can hear is the auctioneer. So I figured you wanted to hear my voice instead. So we've got this collection of Corvette race cars. It comes from, let's see here, the guy's name is somewhere, John Justo. It's his collection, and it is pretty incredible. These early road race cars like this Corvette, well, all these Corvettes are road race inspired. This one's got those cool headlight covers. That's aerodynamic. Jason Stanford, I'm headed in that direction towards the Tom McEwen car. There's a few vintage drag cars down on the end of this hall. We're going to check that out as we keep walking, so stay tuned for that. These early Corvettes, what makes them significant in a lot of cases would be the fact that they have fuel injection. A lot of these cars also have big brakes, which was a big deal late 50s, early 60s. If you had big drum brakes, that was kind of that put you ahead of the competition. I like the little stripe work on this car. Really accentuates some of those body lines. Got a Pro Touring Corvette. There's another early 60s. This is a 61 Corvette, fuel injection. Notice a lot of these cars just have the plain steel wheels and dog dish caps. They don't have the big full caps like what you'd see on a street car. And of course, the reason I'm here is for Coker Tire Company. That's where I work, and you can see right there these Firestone Bi-Sply tires. That's along the lines of what we produce for not necessarily vintage race cars. We do have vintage race tires, but for the most part, we produce these for street use. But they look really good on these early road race cars. There's a Shelby GT500. Can't really go wrong with the GT500. Just an iconic Mustang. Anytime you're at these auctions, there'll always be big cars like this. This is a Packard, but you'll see cars like Bentleys and Rolls Royce and things like that. They're cool, and I definitely appreciate them, but these are not very relatable for me. You know, I can't see myself hopping in and taking off down the road. But I can see myself getting in one of those Corvettes and running around. Speaking of unrelatable, here's some Ferraris and other fancy things. Mercedes, some sort of very swoopy McLaren. You'll just have to excuse me. I don't know very much about these. I see that it says McLaren Speedtail, and it's lots of carbon fiber. But I don't know much about them. Sorry. I don't know what that wheel skirt thing is all about. All right, moving on. We've got a Corvette gasser. This is sort of a modern interpretation of a gasser. You'll see it's got modern wheels and tires on it. Big blowers sticking up out of the hood. A car like this could have run in AA gas back in the day, but they probably wouldn't have run carburetors and probably wouldn't have run a lot of things that are on that car, but that's okay. It's okay to have a modern interpretation of that. And here's what a lot of people came here to see, the Little Red Wagon wheelstander. Now this is the sort of the 80s version of that. This truck toured well into the 90s. You can see this truck's got a candy apple paint job, lots of really great hand lettering with some cool airbrush work on the details there. Really nice stuff. I love that they got it propped up here in wheel stand form. That's fun. Kind of makes you want to go up there and spin that wheel. That's pretty tempting. I don't know if I should. So the story behind the Little Red Wagon is this truck was built not to do wheel stands. It was built actually, I believe, for the factory experimental class. And they put a Hemi back behind the seat of this truck, and it just naturally did wheelies. So obviously the crowd loved it, the racetracks loved it, so it became an exhibition vehicle, and it just one of the most popular ones of all time. There was hundreds of wheel standers that copied this formula of sticking the engine in the back and doing wheel stands all the way down the quarter mile. This one just happens to be the most famous, and the truck evolved through the years. It was originally just a solid bright red, but they put this candy apple paint job on it a little bit later. This is a cool view right here. You can see right up in there to that 426 Hemi, mechanical fuel injection, lots of chrome stuff, chrome leaf springs. You know, since this thing was up in the air quite a bit, it made sense for it to be chrome. Very cool. So again, I'm curious about what a vehicle like this might bring. I don't know if it has a reserve on it or not, but you see things like this and it's cool to look at, but how much is it really worth? And I guess we'll find out. I'm not sure when it goes across, probably Friday or Saturday, but we'll see what that ends up bringing. Here's a couple more interesting cars. We got the Dragula, which was made famous by the Munsters TV show. It's a casket built to sort of be like a dragster, front engine dragster. You see it's got Ford power with a Edelbrock cross ram intake. Those zoomies look cool. Look kind of dangerous. Again, iconic car, very memorable for a lot of people, but how much is that really worth to some of these guys? That's the real question. And in my case, I don't really, the money doesn't really matter to me, not to act like a rich guy, but like the money, as far as what these cars are worth, the history outweighs the money, in my opinion. So that's why I'm here, is to check out the history. This car is just absolutely crazy to think that they were doing this in the 1950s. So this is a Model A coupe that has been absolutely hammered, chopped, stretched. It's got like a 40 Ford style nose on it, but you'll see that they've grafted everything where it's all one piece. You know, the hood doesn't come off. I'm actually not sure how you work on it, but I guess that's not for me to be concerned with. We got lots of exhaust pipes, whole lot of exhaust, lots of louvers, and the tiniest windows you've ever seen. So even back in the 50s, they were really concerned with aerodynamics, and trying to make a Model A Ford aerodynamic is a pretty big challenge. But you'll see that it's got a set of Firestone tires on it. Now these are originals. You'll see that they're all cracked, but they're originals for way back in the day, 760 16s. And then on the front, it's got Firestone dirt track style tires, which Coker Tire reproduces. A lot of people use those on hot rods and race car restorations. All right, some more unobtainable race car and hypercar things. Oh, I want to show you these before I get to the drag cars on the end right here. I want to show you these two cars. Ford Ranchero 57 and a 1960 Chevrolet El Camino. And you know, I guess I have a soft spot for El Caminos, but this one is pretty special. 348, which is, you know, not an incredibly rare engine, but look at all the accessories. It's got air conditioning, power brakes, power steering, and it has this contraption, which is cruise control. Look at all these cables and things. That's pretty wild. So that's a lot of really rare options on this car. Then the Ford Ranchero also has some rare options. Got those nice wide white wall tires from Coker Tire. Very good. But it's got a 312 cubic inch Y-block engine, and what makes it special is that it's an E code, which means it has 2 4-barrel carburetors. You'd normally see that in a Ford Thunderbird. Actually, it's not normal, it's still rare in a Thunderbird, but seeing that in a Ranchero is a pretty rare piece. All right, let's get to the drag cars. I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you're just now joining, I'm at the MECUM Auctions event in Kissimmee, Florida. This is an 11-day auction, and there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,500 to 4,000 cars here, including some incredible vintage drag cars. So we're going to start this with the Tommy Ivo front engine dragster, and this is from 1970, so this is sort of the end of front engine dragsters. It's got a 426 Hemi, nicely polished blower and injector hat. A lot of times these would be made out of magnesium and they would turn dark. You'll see on another one of the cars we're going to look at the natural patina that happens. It's got a set of ET wheels. These are two-piece wheels from back in the day. That was kind of a new concept in 1970. But you can see the chute pack rear body work is pretty awesome, and that sun coming off of that paint is just cool. So those are original Goodyear Blue Streak Dragway Specials. This is what this car would have run back in the day. It's got a really weird size. It says 870/1550-16. That's weird. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I'm a tire guy, so lots of good chrome work, gold leaf, beautiful lettering. I mean, this car is really restored nicely. You can see right here, Tom Hanna race car bodies. He built the best, the absolute best. And then Keith Black Hemi, can't get much better than that either. Really cool paint work. And I mean, if you're a fan of my channel, you've watched it before, you've probably seen some of my videos about dragsters, but can you imagine just getting in there and having that in front of you? And then there, yeah. I don't know that I could do that, but those guys were a lot braver than we can imagine. Here's another Tommy Ivo car. This is sort of at the end of Tommy Ivo's career as a drag racer. This is a 76 Dodge Charger, funny car. And what you see here is sort of the evolution of funny cars, because early funny cars had a wide chassis. You know, they had suspension, and as you can see here, this thing is mostly solid. The suspension, you know, there's not really any. It's just a solid chassis. And they found that these cars work better that way. The suspension, with the amount of horsepower they're running and the tire technology and the track prep of the day, you know, those cars were very unpredictable. And by this point, they were starting to get a little bit more, I won't say easy to drive, but they were getting a little better, a little less dangerous. This one is really nicely restored. It's got a lot of good, correct pieces on it. Again, Tommy Ivo was known for show quality paint jobs, lots of chrome, lots of good looking pieces, and it also performed well. So we got another Tommy Ivo car. This time we're looking at an early rear engine dragster. You'll see that Honest Charlie sponsorship. That's near and dear to me. Chattanooga, Tennessee, world's first mail order speed shop. And this car was made famous by its skirts on the front here. Some people call them wheel pants. Don't know what you call them, but they're definitely cool. Gives this thing a futuristic look. So this is 74, so this is still pretty early in rear engine dragster days. You can see that they had a pretty simple cage, just a 3-point cage. Still very tight in there, very narrow, but at least you had the engine behind you just in case something happened, something blew up. Oh, Making some announcements here. Sounds like they're getting ready to get started on the auction. We got a few more stops to make, so don't leave yet. We got a Tom McEwen front engine dragster. This one says 1968. So again, this is pretty late in the front engine dragster days. They're getting pretty long at this point. They were growing every year, basically. The dragsters would grow by about 10 inches in wheelbase, that is. We'll see here a 4-port Hillborn fuel injector, polish blower, and now this is a 392 based Hemi. And if you remember, this is 1968, and the 426 Hemi came out in the mid-60s. So this is kind of a dinosaur here in the modern sense. It was an old engine. It's got magnesium wheels on the back, Hal brands, and the M&H Race Masters. You can still buy those from Coker, as you can see by that sign. Check that out. These are 1300 16s. You can still buy those. A lot of the nostalgia Top Fuel guys still run those tires, 1200 16s and 1300 16s. Really cool car. Lots of good lettering, lots of good airbrush work, good paint work, chrome. Very nicely restored car. All right, let's take a walk. We got some more stuff to see. It's still a little bit empty because it's still early, but as the day goes on, this area fills up, and especially as the event goes on, because I'm here pretty early, and the event goes on until next Sunday. So there's a cool piece. That is the Tommy Ivo trailer with the, I'm assuming that's plexiglass sides where you can see through it to the dragster. I feel like that's a really cool gimmick. He was all about showmanship. Let's go in here. There's a lot of cool stuff. So this room is a MECUM gallery, and there's always a lot of really high-end stuff here. So cars like 57 Corvette. This is like a show car or prototype, and it's what Chevrolet used to debut the fuel injection, the Rochester mechanical fuel injection that would come out in the 1957 year. So pretty wild setup here, and this appears to be mostly original. You look inside, seats are cracked a little bit, you know, there's some wear and tear, but that's what makes it so valuable, is that it's original, hasn't been messed with. Yeah, I'm headed to that Hemi Dart in the corner, just so you know. All right, this one is a 66 Corvette, and this is pretty wild. This is a factory-built race car, and what makes it even wilder is that it has an L88 engine, which is not available to the public yet. So it's kind of a prototype run for that engine, 427. Big block Chevrolet, L88, just big-time powerhouse. Even though I think they only rated them at like 430 horsepower, which is just, you know, not right. So tires and wheels on this one, I'm sure you're wondering, those are real deal American Racing Torque Thrust D, and the D means that D-shaped spoke that perfectly clears those disc brake calipers. And those tires are pretty special. That's Firestone Indy tires that Coker Tire produced. Close to 10 years ago, we did a pretty big engineering job for Firestone and for Indianapolis, because they were restoring a mid-60s Indy 500 winner, and they needed some tires. So we reverse engineered, and I was fortunate enough to be able to photograph the original 92015s and 1215s, and from my photographs they rebuilt, they had to create the engineered drawings and then built new molds so that they could reproduce this very, very special, very expensive tire. And we still sell them. We sell them for cars that are like this, like road race cars, Can-Am cars, you know, early road race type cars. So that's cool. L88 66 Corvette. I mean, that's basically one of a kind. I don't even know how you'd even put a value on this. Yeah, they didn't even put an estimate on it. It says estimate available upon request. It's one of those things, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Beautifully done car, though. Very nice paintwork. There's some type of little concept car. Gia. Cool. Okay, Hemi Dart. This car, once again, extremely rare. This is a factory-built race car. So 1968, Dodge built 80 of these cars. They put a 426 Hemi in there with cross ram, intake manifold, 2.4s, fiberglass lift-off hood, and it has a lot of cool little details. I love that it's got the original Kragers and M&H tires on it. Once again, you can get the M&H tires at Cobra Tire, but here's a cool detail. So originally, Darts didn't have this big old wheel opening in the back, but when they put this car together, I guess the 80 cars had just some dude at the factory fold these wheel openings. Man, that's pretty rough, but that's original. That's real deal stuff. This is not something some dude did in his backyard. This was, you know, if you bought this car from Dodge, if you were lucky enough to get one of the 80 cars, it would have those wheel wells just like that. This side, you can see that it's even a little bit different. It's actually not quite square. Very cool piece. And here's some of my favorite details. Inside of here, they were so conscious about the weight that they removed the window regulators. So you can see that seat belt that's kind of draped across right there, across the top of the door. That was actually how you raised and lowered the windows. So this car is really nicely restored, probably over restored because, you know, these cars didn't really get pampered. They were built for competition, and this car it says it has 3,799 miles. So probably hasn't ever seen much action on the street, but very, very cool piece. One of my favorite cars here, and I'm not necessarily a Mopar guy, but factory Hemi Dart, that's top of the food chain for factory race cars. Here's a pretty wild Dodge Dart. This is, I don't remember if this is a concept car or just a show car. Let's see. 69 Dodge Dart, or Dodge Swinger concept car. So you can see, if you look over here, it's essentially the same body, but it's got a chop top. It's got this cool scoop, rectangular headlights. They were really trying to get some attention with that one. It's pretty cool. It's got a set of slots on it, Goodyear polyglass tires, or wide tread GT tires. Then we've got a Pro Touring style Corvette. There's a bunch of these here, a bunch of factory type Corvettes and a bunch of resto mods, or whatever you want to call them. A lot of them have aftermarket frames, LS motors. I don't even know what that means, but it looks expensive. Probably out of my budget. So this is a Di Tommaso Mangusta, and I love these giant meats on the back. Big old tall tires. And then a Di Tommaso Pantera, unrestored with 1,574 miles. That's pretty wild. Let's back up and take a good look at this, because this is pretty good styling here. All right, I'll turn around and look at that 442 in just a second after we get a good glimpse in here. Ooh, very fancy instrumentation in there. Okay, 442. I guess we could have a pop quiz of what 442 means. Oldsmobile had kind of a fun reason for the 442 designation originally, but it didn't last. It actually only lasted 1 year, I think. So the 442 was originally, it meant it had a 4-barrel carburetor, a 4-speed transmission, and dual exhaust. And I think it was 65 or 6, very early on in the 442 days. They dropped the 4-speed requirement because they wanted to sell more cars, so they gave it an automatic option. Later on, the designation meant different things. But what's cool about this car is it's a W30, which was Oldsmobile's way of making a lightweight car, which it didn't have a tremendous amount of lightweight stuff. It had a fiberglass hood with these scoops. It had plastic inner fenders. You can see that they're red. Those are plastic in there. It had a couple other little pieces, nothing like absolutely crazy like some of the lightweight cars from the 1960s. But this car is really nicely restored. Really, really nice. It's very slick. Got the proper Firestone white ovals on there. Once again, Coker Tire reproduces these, so you can have the original look and still drive on the roads. There's another GTO. This one's got some really cool wheels. These are Hurst wheels. And these are original, you can see they're very crackly, original Uniroyal Redline tires. And those Hurst wheels were a cast aluminum center with a steel rim, and it had this trim ring that was very specific for that wheel. They're very rare, very hard to find. You don't see very many of them out and about. I got to show you the tires on this since I'm a tire guy. Okay, it's got Firestones. We make them. It's got white walls here and white walls on the inside. Those are a little bit brownish, but that's what happens. I thought that was cool. All right, we're moving back outside a little bit. Going to take a look at just a couple more cars, and I'm going to have to cut you loose because I got work to do. I got to do my Coker stuff. I will be going live on Coker's Facebook page. If you look up Coker Tire on Facebook, I'll be going live on there. You'll be able to hear my voice again. You might see some of the same cars again, but I will be doing content throughout the week. I'm actually headed back home, but I've shot enough content where I can schedule it out and have a week's worth of good videos and pictures. Let's take a look at a few more cars. I'm going to hang with you just a few more minutes. Yeah, Brent, that's a good reminder. Hit the like button. That's a good thing. I don't say that enough. Hit the like button. That helps YouTube think that you like my videos. Even if you don't like them, just hit it. And subscribe. And comment. And whatever. Anything else you can do. Just push buttons until something good happens. So this is a cool car. 57 Ford. Retractable hardtop. So this is one of those gimmicky 50s things. You can see this seam right here. Runs across. This top would actually fold up into this giant deck lid. And it had like lots of mechanisms. Very overly complicated. And I walked past this car yesterday. I'm not going to open the hood because I'm not nosy. But this is an F-code car, which means that it has a factory McCullough supercharger, centrifugal supercharger on a 312 cubic inch Y block. So that's pretty cool, extremely rare. Here are some of the, I guess you could say, more standard muscle cars and sports cars and things. They've got lots of these tents and kind of temporary buildings. And basically any of the cars that are under a tent or a building, they're pretty nice. There's a lot of nice stuff here. There are some questionable cars here and there scattered throughout. I mean, when you have 3,500 cars all in one place, you're going to see some that are kind of like, why is that here? Here's an Essex Super 6 Roadster. Don't see many of these. I don't guess. That's a cool spotlight with a very sturdy mount. Oh, it's kind of a boat tail. Oh, okay. Cool. All right, let's keep moving. 67 Corvette Roadster with the hard top, 427, 435 horse. There's a bunch of these here. Bunch of the big block tri-power cars. Cool 50s cars, 57 Chevy Bel Air convertible, and a 58 Cadillac Eldorado. Got a ton of stuff here. There's not a lot of people here yet, if you're wondering about that. This is kind of early on. This is an 11-day auction, so we're early. I wanted to get here early so I could shoot some cool content. This reminds me of a Camaro that we had. I bought a 67 Camaro for my wife and repainted it with some very cheap Rust-Oleum flat black, and that's what this looks like. I don't think it's the same car. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not going to buy it though. Definitely not. Foxbody Mustang. Here we go. Got big giant tires up under the back of it. I like that. That's cool. Good, good, good. Here's an extremely rare, like, okay, you're restoring a car. Where do you find that emblem? Where do you find that? Crazy. Fuel injection on a 57 Pontiac Bonneville convertible. Like, that's just really, 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 really rare. Okay, square body. I gotta go back. Everybody's asking about the square body. And Trans Am, what is it? What does it say here? It says something. Some part of a Firehawk sticker. 10th anniversary, maybe? Yeah, Firehawk 10th anniversary. Gold, lots of gold things. Okay, square body. I have a hard time with square bodies because I feel like they should be $1,500 trucks. And this thing right here will probably sell for like $38,000 because it is super slick. There's no doubt about it. That's nice. Super nice. Got super swampers on it. What size are these? 35s. Okay. Got a considerable amount of lift, and I see a cast aluminum oil pan in there. That means it's got an LS motor. So yeah, you can go ahead and add to the price. I mean, that's going to be a high dollar truck. Super slick. Here's another fuel injected Pontiac. I mean, for real, where do you get that emblem? Okay, we got one more vehicle I'm going to show you, and it's going to take me a few minutes to walk, so just hang out with me a little bit longer. We got lots of Chevys. 60 model, 66 Nova, 66 Nova, 66 Chevelle, a little earlier Nova. There's that fuel injected Pontiac again. That's pretty nice. I like that. 66 Chevelle with the deluxe caps. Here's a Thunderbolt replica. I'm assuming it's replica. No, it is not a replica. Number 49 of 100 built. This just caught me by surprise. You can hear the auctioneer in the background now. 427, 2.4s. It's got the little short van seats, 4-speed car. I would have never guessed this was an actual car. I just assumed when I walked by it earlier that it was a replica because people just build these replicas. But that is a legit Ford Thunderbolt. Estimated price of $250,000. Fiberglass doors, fiberglass fenders, fiberglass teardrop hood, aluminum bumper. See how it's not quite as shiny as chrome? Those little tiny, look at that tiny bumper bracket. Oh, that's amazing. This is cool. Now, okay, little bit of a faux pas with having an electric fan on this thing. I don't think I could make myself do that. It's not original, but look at this. 64 Ford Thunderbolt, factory race car, one of 100 built. Okay, that was a pleasant surprise. What I was actually taking you down here to look at was this little pickup truck and a race car in tow. So this is cool. This is kind of what I believe to be made up patina, which I'm not a huge fan of, but whoever did this did a good job on it. They got even got some dirt sprinkled in there. It looks pretty legit, but it's a little bit too uniform to be real. Although it does have some actual, I think that's actual holes. Pretty sure it is. Inside of here is pretty cool. Got some old stickers, Lions drag strip stickers. So we'll make our way around to the race car. This thing, all throughout yesterday, had a big crowd around it because people just love this kind of stuff. Looks like it came straight out of the barn, but I don't think it did. It does have some Offenhauser flathead heads in here. A 2-carb intake for flathead V8 and a chicken. Okay. And the little race car, I don't know if it's real or not, or if it's just something somebody made up. Either way, it's cool. I'm not going to be picky about that. It's still cool. It looks cool. It's got original type components. This is probably a Model T based frame. It's been modified. You can see that the wishbones have been split to be out instead of under the middle of the car. They're out to the frame rails. Got a cool push bar and a little light on the back. All handmade bodywork on it. Cool cockpit. I don't know what engine's in it. If I had to guess, I'd say Model A based 4-cylinder, but I don't know. But it's a really cool piece. It got a lot of attention yesterday. This thing probably won't bring a tremendous amount of money if I had to guess, but it is super cool. I mean, it was parked next to like this fancy stuff, like this Pro Touring Corvette, and it was hogging all the attention, which I totally get it. It's a cool piece. All right, so that was what I wanted to bring you over here for. There's tent after tent after tent after tent after tent of cars, and it would take me all day to show you all of them. So I'm not going to do that, but I wanted to show you what I thought was cool, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. I'm going on 50 minutes of walking around, and just wanted to say thanks again. Thanks for all you guys viewing, commenting, liking this. Definitely keep up with me, keep up with the channel. I've got a lot of ideas for videos. I just didn't have time to put together a video this week, being out of town and everything. So I wanted to walk you around and give you a pretty good preview of what's going to be happening. And now that NBC Sports is no longer a thing, MECUM is actually going to be on the Motor Trend channel. So if you want to watch it, you can. It's on TV. They have a live feed. They have lots of ways to keep up with it. And again, I'll encourage you to get on the Coker Tire Facebook page. I've shot a bunch of videos and pictures and some pretty interesting stuff. So definitely stay tuned to that. And that's pretty much it from here for me. And I'm going to sign off of here and just say I'll probably see you with a new video next week. Not sure. Travel schedules kind of messed me up, but we'll see. So stay tuned. Continue liking and subscribing and doing all those fun things. And we'll see you later.